Hey guys, my name is Peter. My hobby helped me to discover a lot of things about people. My story is about strange and even terrible things that can be found in abandoned places. I'll tell you why I quit stalking. There are a lot of stories about stalkers on the net. Everyone has their own reasons to give up stalking. Someone saw ghosts, someone was seriously injured in a collapse and falls, someone has bad luck and got caught by local criminals. As for me, I just found something strange. After that, I decided not to go stalking anymore. It all started with just rock climbing. We lived in the mountains, and all kids climbed the rocks from time to time. We even had a lot of climbing schools in our town, so kids who like sports would either start boxing or rock climbing. I'm not keen on fighting and stuff, so I chose the other option. We practiced a lot, mastered safety techniques, pumped our muscles and our brains. We memorized routes and signs not to get lost. Honestly, I wasn't particularly interested in this, but again, there was no choice, so I practiced with everyone. But one day, our instructor offered us something new. He offered caving instead of climbing to any volunteers. Well, mountains always mean caves, including underground caves. It's just no one wanted to go underground before. Our instructor was kind of like one of the seven dwarfs or a digger at the bottom of his heart, so he recruited a team of enthusiasts. There were a few of us. Maybe it's because it's easier to attract tourist girls with a clean face instead of a black muggy one. Although caving is much more difficult than mountain hiking, we had to cram routes like crazy so that we could remember the way from the beginning to the end and quickly imagine it in our heads. You know, underground caves won't give you a second chance. But that's kind of a disadvantage. For me, the thing was that I found myself. I've learned how not to get lost. I climbed faster than anyone. I mean, I could pull myself up with one finger and crawl on my stomach for a few kilometers. As they say, if you want to live, you'll be able to gnaw your way with your teeth. Guys from the surface called us worms or moles, depending on their imagination. But we didn't get offended, because if the apocalypse came, we would survive, and they wouldn't. When I was 17, we moved closer to the capital. I went to college, and my parents decided not to leave me alone. They quickly sold our apartment, our country house, and my grandma's house, and they bought a bigger house in a village. I left the mountains in my childhood, together with caves. But I quickly made friends with the local diggers. As they say, birds of a feather flock together. Besides, they needed someone physically prepared for their team. Well, there was no shortage of spots in the city for digging. Metro stations, temples, the underground city was literally dug up by our predecessors. Of course, the ancient cave and the modern subway are different things, including safety. On the one hand, it was much easier because all tracks are wide enough to move on them safely. On the other hand, there's no high voltage wires and the third rail in the caves can easily pop you off. It was not always possible to get into the subway. Quite often, the entrance was sealed by the police, so we had to find a new one. That's why we spent this time on the abandoned buildings, to stay in shape. There were some rules too, but our mentality got better and better. The thing is, one could always find anything there. I was never alone in such places. I won't tell you anything about the atmosphere there, but we usually laughed like crazies. However, sometimes we came across criminals, but it was a tug of war. We were also well prepared. We carried weapons and our physical shape was practically the same as theirs, so when it came to a conflict, criminals usually offered peace themselves. Oh yeah, findings. I won't list everything, just the creepiest things. One day, we were in an abandoned factory. We found a meat grinder, or maybe it was a broken ventilation. We couldn't figure out what kind of thing with huge blades it was. Anyway, there were bones inside, a shin bone and a couple of old ribs. We ran away like madmen. No one needed any problems. In the basements of some apartment blocks, we found animal corpses and some bloody rags. But it's not so scary because Satanists are everywhere, and I think Satanists from our city hardly ever killed on their own. I would rather believe they simply picked corpses up somewhere and dragged them to their place for the entourage. We also found some skulls, but not human. Maybe they were some animals. Once I found a bag with some things. It was the bag of some girl. What she was doing in the abandoned place was a mystery, but the most terrible thing was in the ruined temple. Outside our city, practically it's still the city zone, but there's nothing there but the forest. There's an old abandoned church. Whether it's Catholic or Orthodox, I can't say. I just see the cross. Stalkers rarely go there. Locals don't go there either, and they don't know about it. So I think we were one of the first invaders. Well, here we go. We found the altar, and there was some bundle there. One of our guys was curious and climbed up, and here we started vomiting in cascades. We ran away fast. There was a dead body of a baby in that bundle. He was dead a long time ago. We called the police. We showed them everything and told them our story. They said they wouldn't charge us for a trespassing of a private property, although they could. So after this, I don't go to abandoned buildings anymore. I'd better walk somewhere in the underground. What can I say? Kids, don't go to dangerous places unless you're well prepared. Write in the comments about your amazing findings, and take care of yourselves. Learn, practice, and wait for the time that you become a pro. And remember, there is no second chance when you go underground.